It's good to see you, Martin. It's good to see you there. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for your time tonight. It's going to be an amazing time. I hope you're all ready to consume as much as possible. And you've got your list of questions waiting. So we're just going to wait a few more minutes to allow a few more people in. So just let me know which part of the world are you joining us from. I can see people from UK, Bradford. If you could just go into the chat box. And if you can just let me know in the chat box there, let us know which city you are joining us from tonight. It will be amazing to see. And if I can see your faces, come on, everyone. How come everyone is camera shy tonight? Martin, where's your face? Oluwatumi, can I see your face? Nana, it's good to see you. Olajoke. Oh, that's my jockeys. And Jumoke, that's, oh, here we have Martin is from Leeds. Hi, Martin, it's good to see you. So allow a few more people in before we start. It's going to be an amazing time tonight. Okay, let me. Okay, let's look in the chat box. We've got Kike from Makodi. That's Ninja Long up north. It's good to see you. Martin is from Leeds, Bradford. Who else is in the garden and they're hiding their faces? Let me go around to see. We've got 9 people here. Okay. I can see, okay, I can see Busayo. It's good to see you, Busayo. Who else? We have Olajoke. Mrs. Ibitoye. Where are you joining us from? I think I know, but it might be good for our guests to know as well. So can you let me know if you can see my screen? That would be amazing. Just type in there, type in 222 for you to let me know you can see my screen and you can hear me loud and clear. It should be good to know that before we start. So let us see. Okay. Martin said, yes, we can. Thank you, Busal. Yeah, we can. Keep it loud and clear. Amazing, amazing. Okay, let's just allow a few more people in before we get it rolling. It's going to be amazing tonight. See, tonight we're going to, is like keeping down real. So the session tonight is recorded, but I don't think we're going to be distributing it later because we're going to keep it down real. Let's look under the hood. Let's redefine a few things we've known, a few things coaches have taught us, including myself as well. It's time for us to reevaluate things and say, you know what, every time in life, it's always a time to, so what, let's reevaluate, let's redefine things. Thank you, Nana said, yes, they can hear me. Jolade says she can hear me, amazing. So I can see some people, I know where you are, but can you just type in the chat box, let us know where you are joining us from tonight. I can see we've got UK, actually we've got Makodi already, and I know we have other parts of Nigeria already based on what I'm looking at here. So from heaven, hey, angelic visits. We've got someone who is from heaven right here. It's gonna be amazing, isn't it? Jolade is laughing. Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, we've got someone from Abuja. That is amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, here he said, well, he's from heaven, but eventually he's been dropped in Kent in the UK. Jolade is from London. That's good to know. Let me try and form my London accent. It won't work. You know, we've got Jumi from Leeds. Jumi, the Mama Red Flame hair. It's good to see you as well. Okay, let me get a few more people in. So we're going to start, and we're going to start now, and we're going to get right to it. So tonight, we actually had we had a webinar planned for end of the month, which is actually 28th of February. So between then, I think sometime last week, a news broke out somehow, and the news got a few people thinking and asking questions. They were like, "Oh, Coach Emma, what's going on here? What's happening? Can you please let us know what is this about? How does this impact us and all of that?" And I looked at the news, I reflected on the news, and one thing I found out there was, as much as the news was not from the original source it said it was from, there were a few things in the information that were spot on accurate, a few things were not so accurate, and a few things were twisted to cause panic and fear, really. So it's not something we could completely dismiss and say, oh, it's not important. But most importantly, it's something whereby we need to look into and say, you know what, this is something that we should actually take a look at. And that is why we're here tonight, to actually look into that. Okay, okay. Zoom seems to be playing up tonight. That will not work. So let me get the slides back up. Not sure why that changed. Okay, so happy Sunday, everyone. I hope you've had a lovely Sunday. It's good to see you all. And tonight we're going to be talking about what I call redefining financial freedom. And when we say redefining financial freedom, what exactly is it that we're talking about there? What does that mean, redefining financial freedom? I'm sure if I ask everyone here, actually, we could go around the block and just type in the chat box there. What do you think financial freedom means? What does that mean to you personally? If I were to ask you now and say, what is financial freedom? What would you say? Can you type in the box? Let me have a look. Let me see a flare of what we have in the room. What does financial freedom mean to you as a person? So go ahead, please let me know in the chat box. Just tell me in the chat box, what is financial freedom to you? And then we're gonna get started. Let me look and see if people have been, if anyone is actually typing. Okay, I'm waiting. Just let us know in the chat box. What is your short definition of financial freedom? Because if we're redefining financial freedom, it's always good for us to come from a perspective of, okay, what actually do we think financial freedom is? Nana says ability to afford what I want when I want. Olajake says financial control. I like that. Theo says freedom to meet your plans. I like that. Let me see what else. Okay, Jimmy says secured future. That is lovely. So you could see that we are all looking at the same subject matter, but we are all speaking from different perspectives. We are all saying different, we're saying the same thing in different ways. Martin said being able to financially do anything at any given time or season. That's what Martin says. Okay, Jolada says being able to live freely without thinking about money. Being able to be, yes, you could see that we've all got various definitions of financial freedom. That tells us that we're all looking at the same topic, but we are all viewing it. Olatunde says living life on my terms. I like that. Okay. So now we've got a starting point. We've got different definitions. So let us look down. Tonight, please, I'm going to be dropping things whereby there are going to be more questions than answers. So tonight's session is not to provide all the answers you want. However, is to start this conversation we've not been having before, is to open our line of thought for us to see things in different perspectives so that we can begin to view this differently or in a different way or with different urgency and alacrity. So let us get started. Now, this is the agenda here. We've gone here, but sometimes I like to flow with the spirit and see where the spirit leads me. So we're going to talk about what financial freedom is, the status quo, the political landscape and age of money, and what can I do? We're going to keep it short tonight. We try not to go beyond an hour, which I think we've already got about 10 minutes with a pleasantry. So let's dive right in. Now, you can see this image. I got this extract from Twitter. This is right from Twitter. I've got the link somewhere. So this is not something that's been mocked up, or this is actually from the World Economic Forum. This was posted on the 12th of December, 2016. And this lady, she was a member of parliament in Denmark. And she says, welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. And there is something called the Great Reset 2030. If you research and you look into this, there is something called, the Great Reset, own nothing and be happy. There's been a lot of things about that. So it's very interesting. It's something which it would be nice. I would like all of us to have a look into. Let's research into that because it's a very interesting topic. So when I came across this, I began to think as far back as 2016, there is an agenda for 2030. And 2030, they're talking about, I own nothing, I have no privacy, and life has never been better. That means I own nothing and I'm happy. And that got me thinking that, what is happening? People thinking how many years ahead, 12 years ahead, and there is that plan. So I got a little bit concerned. A few people got a little bit concerned. But then I was like, okay, let's research deeper and say, okay, what happens next with this? And then I now came across a couple of things that seems to say the previous post I shared with us was not a fact, that it was not accurate, that never happened. They never said that. Something never. Now, this is where I get worried about things. When somebody says something and then they're going round and people are saying, let's verify this, and they say, oh, we didn't really say that. Now, I get concerns about that, okay? Is it because time has elapsed, you think you never said that again because of time? And you can see, actually, this is actually from Reuters, and on February 25th, 2021, a few people were doing fact check to say, okay, did the World Economic Forum really say that, or did they have a goal that said that? And they said, fact check, the World Economic Forum does not have a stated goal to have people own nothing by 2030. That I've got the link there in terms of you want to read the whole article. Then I got thinking that, okay, something is not right. Something was said, which you can confirm on Twitter. Twitter keeps the data, so it was there. Maybe someone forgot to delete it or something. And then that now, please, you need to follow me and listen to every word. Every word I'm saying is for a purpose, and I'll come to that. I'll link them up eventually at some point. So I keep searching again, and there I go on Forbes. And we all know in terms of credibility, we think Forbes is credible to some extent. They're not a Playboy news agency. So you could see right now, November 10, 2016, Forbes reported on the same article. Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, I have no privacy, and life has never been better. And it's quoted World Economic Forum contributors. So that means there's some element of truth to that. So I was really interested to understand what is all this about. And then I said, okay, who is WEF? What is WEF? Why have they got, such a foresight to want to plan that far ahead? Then I now saw that WEF is the World Economic Forum. It is a non-profit foundation that focuses on shaping global, regional, industry agendas to improve the state of the world. This is very, very important. So there is a non-profit organization that focuses on shaping global, regional, and industry agenda to improve the state of the world. Basically, they are the ones that set the goal to see how things work, but they are not profits. That means they don't have, it's not under any government. But better still, when I saw the images, you could see the images of the people here. This is an extract from the website. And when I saw our King Charles III, long live our king, I was like, no, this is not a playground. And when you look at the other people in here, these are shakers and movers, not of a society, of the world. So it is very, very important for me to take whatever comes out of WEF very, 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 very serious, because These are not playboys around. We've got our king, who's actually a member of WEF. I think this was long before our king became king. So, and then I was like, okay, let me see who else is actually within WEF to understand. If you go to their website, it's amazing. They've got leaders across the world. They're doing great things. And then I was able to see that our honorable Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, is actually a member, is on there. These are all extract from the website. I can see our neighbor, the Prime President of France, Emmanuel Macron, is there. I can see also our sister or brother across the sea, Joseph R. Biden, President of the United States, is there. And I can see there are quite a number of powerful people. Bill Gates, name them. They are all a member of this non-profit organization. So when we're talking about WEF, we are not talking about a charity organization just by the roadside that is looking to raise a relief. We are talking about where serious things have been discussed. So when things come out from WEF, I take it serious and I do pay attention. I'd recommend you do too, because there are a lot of good stuff coming out of WEF, amazing things WEF is doing. So that's first slide I shared really got me worried, and I had a little bit of concern about that because it's coming from this group of people. Now we're going to leave that to one side and we're going to come to financial freedom. We're going to connect the dots. Keep your notes. So just like you've said, introduction, what is financial freedom? It's the state in which individuals, you have enough passive income and asset to support your desired lifestyle without relying on traditional employment. It's a concept which refers to your ability to live without that. There's one key thing about financial freedom is ability to live the life you want without you relying on traditional employment. So your bills are being taken care of by your assets, by your passive income, and we know things like that. And coaches will tell you, have a plan, save some money, invest in assets, do this, have emergency funds, cut down your debts and things like that. We say all of that just for you to get down that journey. And that is what they say. So the different things, the different templates by different coaches, different organizations, different people tell you different ways where you can make this happen. But in a nutshell, summarizing what this means, from my point of view, it means just two things. Choices to make decisions, your ability to have choices to make decisions, and your ability to be in control of your funds and assets. One, choices, and two, control. Most of us, we do have, we think we have choices, but we do have limited choices. Tomorrow is Monday. I can tell you when you look down this list, almost 99% of us are going to turn up for work. We like it or not, we're not feeling like it or not, it is winter blues or not, it is whatever it is, we're all going to turn up for work tomorrow. That is very important. So that means we don't really have the choice to make decisions. We cannot feel like, I don't feel like going to work tomorrow. What am I going to do? I'm just going to stay at home and we don't have that luxury. That's number one. We're working towards it. We're work in progress. And the other thing there is be in control of your funds and assets. To me, that's the quick summary of what financial freedom is. Ability for you to do whatever you want and ability for you to be in control. Because I can tell you right now, up until now, financial freedom is focused mainly on your ability to do what you want, passive income to be able to, like everything we've all said, but it's more about you being able to make the choices and have control over the choices you choose to make without any influences whatsoever. Now, what is the status quo actually? Where are we? What is happening right here and right now? Here is a quick checklist, and I'm going to run by them one by one. Right here, right now, when we talk about houses where we live, some people rent, most of us, some people have mortgages. In a nutshell, if you have a mortgage, you have a debt you owe to a bank. You are a tenant to the bank. The bank owns that property. If you're renting, you're a tenant to your landlord, and your landlord is a tenant to the bank, unless they fully paid up the property. So basically, the house most of us live in, 99%, is owned by the bank, mortgaged or not, unless it's fully paid. Number two, the car we drive. Most of us, well over 90%, the car we drive is owned by the bank, because the car we drive mostly, it's on finance. So the car we drive is owned by the bank. Or the buses we go on to in the morning, it's not owned by us. If the buses is late to turn up, there is nothing you can do about it. For some of us, or most of us, the house we live in, most of us, some of us, is buy now, pay later. Our furnitures, our mobile phones, that one is contract. Owned by what? Owned by the bank. What does contract mean? The bank will borrow, Apple will pay the money to Apple, and then you begin to pay the bank £40 every month, or £50 or £60. Then the bank will pay your network provider 10, 12, 15, 18, whatever for the line. And the remaining is towards the loan you've taken on the mobile phone. So your mobile phone, my mobile phone, owned by the bank. Washing machine, fridge, appliances, most of the time is buy now, pay later, or 3 months interest-free, owned by the bank. Sometimes the clothes we wear, we buy it on credit card or overdraft, which means even the clothes you wear is what is owned by the bank. Now, this is the beautiful part. Coach MO, I have savings. I have savings going. Let's go through. I could see there are chats going on in the chat box. So please, I really need to go into the chat box to see what is happening there. Oh, Itai said it's shocking to see it from this angle, sir. Everything by the back. Okay. Reaction. Your landlord, yes, absolutely. Okay, let's get back. Oh, we're in for a ride tonight. So some of us say, I have savings. Coach Emo, I save. My own is different. And my own bank or my whole listening, but I have my tertiary savings. Yeah, where's your savings? Your savings is with the bank. Okay. Some of us will say, I have investment. Coach Emo told me to invest, and I invest in stocks and shares. I invest in Barclays Bank. I invest in Morrison's. I invest in this company. I invest in Bank of America. I invest in this and that. Investment through the bank, even probably on the bank, part of the banks. Now, pension. Me, I have pension fund with the government. Me, I have pension funds, and I've checked it actually as of yesterday. The UK and US, the retirement age is 67. So right from the age of 21 up to 67 of age of 18 that most of us have been working, that is almost 40 years of work, and government has been taking in the UK, we call it the, what's it called? We call it I think it's the NI we call it, I can't remember. That one is managed by asset management companies or by the bank. So you can see that all of these things, most of us, we will take 9 or 10 out of those boxes. And where does everything lead? I did not create this. I am just saying, let's have a quick checklist, because come with me, we're going somewhere. Now, this is the checklist. We can see where we are. So this is where the reflection starts. We are in 2023. 98% of us don't own anything. And it seems we are happy. Can you link this back to the first slide? And I hope you are connecting the dots. Your TV, your broadband is subscription-based. You don't own it. The data you use on your phone is subscription-based. You don't own it. Netflix is subscription-based. You don't own it. Amazon is subscription-based. You don't own it. Even Apple Music is subscription-based now. You don't own it. There used to be times where you could just buy your songs and own the songs. I'm thinking, it's me that is just a little bit apprehensive. Oh, we are all oblivious to this, or we're just pretending that this has nothing to do, Jared. Lord, Coach Emo is actually just bringing us conspiracy. I'm just asking a question. This is 2023. Based on the list we went through for the quick checklist, there is no ownership anywhere. And we all seem to be very, very okay. Shouldn't this be concerning? Shouldn't we be concerned somehow? Some things they call the red flags. Are we not seeing any red flags at all? Let us continue. Let me just go through the chat to see if we have any questions. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Now, there are a few people I know. You will say, wait, but coach, now, I have money saved in my savings account. I have invested in my pension fund. I am making my mortgage payments without fail. I am making my car payments without fail. So what are you on about? Please, my case is different. Yeah, you're probably right. You do have money saved. Absolutely. You've been investing in your pension funds, judiciously since you started work. And you max it out every time. We coaches encourage you to do that because those are one of the great ways to create wealth. We tell you mortgage is a good idea, get a mortgage and pay it off. Absolutely. Yeah, for 30 years. You get mortgage at 20, you don't pay it off till 50. You get it at 30, you don't pay it off till 60. That's for a different conversation. So for those of us here who we're thinking, Coach Emo, take it easy. My case is different. I've got savings, I've got this, I make payments, I make payment on my car, I can afford to pay for my car. My mortgage payment, I never failed. Even sometimes I pay them a bit more, and my pension fund is fully maxed out. My savings account, I've got 6 months, 6 months emergency fund, like you teach us to do that. And I've even also got more, I've got a peace of mind. So Coach Emo, I don't think this session has got anything to do with me. I'm doing very well on my way to financial freedom. Congratulations to the few who are on the right track. In 2015, this is not 600 years ago, the Greece banks in Cyprus, in Greece, they stopped people from withdrawing their money. It's a fact. It happened. Right now, as we speak in Nigeria, people have funds in their accounts they cannot access. It took me well over 9 days to be able to transfer funds. I have my money in my account to somebody in another bank. In the same 2023, the US government reached its debt ceiling of $31.38 trillion. That is 120% of its GDP. And you're wondering what could go wrong? Absolutely nothing. Greece is not in a third world. Greece is in Europe, the supposed first world. So don't think this is far remotely from you. Let me quickly go into the chat and see. Itai says, yes, sir. The Nigeria case is scary. It's not scary. You ain't saying nothing yet. Theo said that's another level. This can happen anywhere. Absolutely. So let's go on. So if you're wondering what could go wrong, or are you like, no, this is the West, like we say, it can happen in Nigeria. Nigeria is a third world. It cannot happen in the West, in a lie. Greece is West. 2015 is just how many years ago? It is not up to 10 years ago. Please, let's pay attention. Now, this is a reflection point. There is something called the Dodd-Frank Act in US. There is the UK Financial Services Act, and there is the EU Bank Recovery Resolution Directives. These are the dates these acts became law. And it is called the bail-in and bail-out. It's got to do with that. What does that mean? In 2008, when the banks crashed the world economy, and then the government had to bail them out with taxpayers' money. Please, I'm saying this so it can sink in the right words, exact words. After then, the government now decide and say, you know what? We're not just going to be bailing people out anymore. We're not going to be bailing them in. Please pay attention to this. Why it is so important? There is 2 hours before this session, I've done the slides I was going to present. I had a confirmation this was the right thing for the right time. So you're not listening to this by accident. In 2013, when Cyprus had the problem they had, IMF bailed them out with, IMF is International Monetary Fund, with 10 billion euros. Now, there was a condition that came with that loan. And the condition was over 50% of all bank balances over 100,000 euros should be seized. That means the bank should use that money as part of the recovery fund. These are facts. These are not, these are facts. 6.9% of account balances less than 100K, and also 9% of the balances over 100K. And in 2014, the G20 passed the bail-in law. What does that mean? That means the next time that we have what happened in 2008, and there is a financial crisis, the banks have legal ground to use the citizens' money as part of the bail-in process. That is what is called bail-in. This is a fact. Research it. So that's so much called money you have in an account that you think it's yours. You're being delusional. The money you have, you don't have control to, is not your money. I had people in Nigeria who had millions of naira in their accounts, and they were saying the money they had to spend was just 40, 50, 60, 100 naira. Why? Because the government changed the currency, gave people a tight deadline to exchange the old for new currency. And they now brought in restrictions of how much cash you can withdraw over the counter and over the ATM machine. Now, as of yesterday, the government was saying they do not have enough papers to print new notes. Please, are we paying attention? What does this mean? This means whenever anything happens, you will lose temporal access to your account. It is legal. There's nothing you can do. In the UK, it's up to a period of even 1 week or more, whereby when the banks are trying to finish the bailing process to be stable because they are too big to fail, and then they will give you an alternative in place of your money. And this could come in terms of the shares of the banks. It could come in any kind of way. What is the use of them paying you back your money that is seized, in the shares of the company that is actually sinking? Please, let's pay attention to what is happening. And there is even within there the possibility of them clawing back any funds that has been paid during the process. And you're thinking and say, in UK, there's FSCC or whatever, the insurance that covers your money up to 85,000. And in America, they have that in Nigeria. Well, do you know that insurance is greatly underfunded? And that insurance does not even protect you when the next crash happens. Have you noticed the trend of what is going on, that, the bank is okay to take your money, but whenever you want to withdraw your funds, they will ask you, what do you want to use it for? Are we saying things, or are we just pretending that we don't know what is going on? The bank will be asking you, what do you want to use your money for? What is the purpose? I've seen banks close people's accounts because they just don't like the volume of transaction going on in the bank. It's happened to me as a person. It's happened to a lot of people I know in person. As of Friday, I know someone, and this is detailed information, who is trying to get a mortgage. Now, this person does not have 5%, does not have 10%. This person has 15% deposits for the mortgage. Banks were happy to give the loan. They give all the paperwork. The paperwork started. So when the person told me, I was like, oh, that's great. And a month after, I was just like, oh, what's up? How is it going? Have you finished all this? The person was like, do you know, the bank just called me yesterday because they've asked for a few information. And the banks were not happy with some things on his account because he runs a company and because he's also running another company. And the bank were not comfortable with the fact that, they could not even explain the reason why they're withdrawing the offer they made to him. And I was telling the person that, look, my intention all along was never to do what? To give you that mortgage. The intention was for you to be part of the statistics, so that when they are doing their statistics, they would say, oh, 100,000 people, and as of last month, your name was part of the mortgage application accepted. So you're already part of the statistics in the data, which says your mortgage was approved. But they knew eventually they were going to pull the plugs and say, you know what? And they said what? They didn't have any reason to withdraw the offer. It's within their rights. Just like when they want to close your bank accounts, they would tell you that, okay, it's within our rights, the small print, to close your account anytime we so wish without giving you any reason. Yes, it is. Please, let us pay attention. So for The people who were saying in a couple of slides before say, Coach Mo, me, I get savings, so I get this thing. Well, let's think about it. There is already a legal mechanism, which if anything happens again, the first thing that will happen is the banks will freeze accounts. So tell me, what is the purpose of the money that you have that you cannot access? You know, I was frustrated last week when I was trying to send funds to someone in Nigeria, and I know there is money in their account. People know they have. If you see the drama, and this is just only the beginning. Power Tribe said, what is the purpose? Oh, I don't know. It's a question for every one of us here. We cannot deny these things are happening. See, the greatest way is for people to sleepwalk and pretend as if nothing is happening. In the news, the media would only propagate what they want to use as a distraction. The real news are things whereby they're just going to say them once or twice, and then they're going to bring some other news and magnify them and make them seem like bigger news or bigger problems happening. See, it is in the interest of the media for you to watch their TV viewers. That is how they get paid. Adverts, that is where the advert money comes from. But for them to always tell your unbiased story, you've got to do the work yourself. So let's take a few steps back in history. And there's a reason why please connect all these dots. They're very important. In 1933, do you know that America, there was an executive order that was signed and made it illegal for the American citizens to own gold beyond a certain amount of gold in America? Yes, it did happen. Where the citizens could not own more than a particular amount of gold. And it went on for 41 years. Well, I want you to see the next points and see the correlation. The US abandoned the gold standard for domestic transactions in 1933 and ended the international convertibility of dollar to gold in 1971. That was when the dollars was taken off what they call the gold standard. Now, in 1945, somewhere in between, that is where dollar got its power. And that was when what they call, I'm not sure if many of us know this, the petrodollar. And that was when there was an alliance between Saudi and America, whereby Saudi agrees that all transaction for oil will going to be in the US dollars. And that was what gave America to be the world currency reserve. Every nation needed oil. So if you want to buy oil, you're going to buy it in dollars anyway. So it is very important for you to have dollars because dollars is what is used for international transactions. So America did not have to balance their books anymore because the power of petrodollar and the demand for dollar is out there. So when dollar was taken off the gold standard, you know what? The petrodollar power kicks in. And then dollar became the world gold reserve currency because everybody, every nation needed oil. Now, there's now a twist in the recent political landscape. Last year, the Russian ruble was pegged with gold. What America left and ran away from, the Russian ruble went back to. When the war against Ukraine happened and all the assets of Russians were frozen in the West, that was the wake-up call whereby the world got tired of dependency on dollars. The second point is what they call the BRICS nations. Now, the BRICS nations, just like we have the G20, we have the G7. Now, this is a coalition of nations coming together to unite. Currently, it used to be BRIC, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China. And recently, South Africa joined them. So they became BRICS. Now, as we speak, we have countries like Argentina, Egypt, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, all making their interest known in what's in big part of BRICS. And it seems we are coming to the end of petrol dollars because Saudi Arabia has said they are open to discussion whereby oil trade settlements can be done in other currencies other than the US dollars. Are these coincidences? I doubt it. I don't think so. Let's go into the chat box. Let's see what is happening. Oh, yeah, it depends. As Nigeria, you need to have some funds in your account before you can be given a visa to travel, an empty account to make it harder for embassies to trust you. Well, oh, it is not judging that you having an account in Nigeria or not having an account in Nigeria. You know, what I'm saying there is, I'm asking a question there is, the money you have in an account so you don't have access to, is that your money? That was just a question. Power tribes. So that was what we're trying to understand. This is what I call a clarion call. It's a call for us to think about things in terms of, okay, this is how this has been done. Okay, is there any other way we need to start thinking of other ways rather than just continue to do what we've been doing? And then there's something which I've got there, which is CBDC. So we can see that there is a change in the recent political landscape as well. Things are changing. Inside of BRICS, you have the two most populous nations in the world. Combine them together, that's about for half of the world's population, India and China. 1 in every 6 people that stand is either Indian or Chinese on Earth. So BRICS is not something to toy with at all. I like what Theo said. Theo said, if it's in the possession of someone else, it's not yours. That one, I agree with you. I agree with you, Theo. Okay, so now let's go to that. Now, then I came to a discovery that central banks around the world, this is funny, central banks around the world are reported to be buying gold at records high. It actually says it's the highest they've seen in 55 years. So that makes me think central banks are the banks of banks because central banks are the ones that control the other banks in each nation. So if central banks, that means countries are stocking gold. Okay, it says record high, which is a 55-year high. Now that begs the question, why? Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just curious. I just want to know, why are central banks all of a sudden stocking gold in record highs? They've got the ability to print money. They've been doing it, it's not new. You know, all central banks are in debt. So what is making a lot of them to start frantically stocking? I know almost a lot of central banks are buying gold. Why is that? I don't have an answer to it, but it's something which I want you to ponder on. Why are banks stocking in record numbers? And that brings us to what I call the new age of money. Now, in the middle of all the collapse, all the mismanagement of funds in 2008 and everything, where everything was crashing, where the banks were, you know, I still can't get over 2008. The number of people that lost their lifelong savings and investments. The number of people that have been working judiciously for years and have been following financial principles, and all of a sudden, all that is wiped out without compensation. The number of people that have been broken because of that. But at the end of the day, the government still bailed out a lot of the banks with taxpayers' money. In the middle of that, a new glimmer of hope appeared, and that was what is called the Bitcoin. The first paper of is it Satoshi Nakamoto? Nobody knows who that is. Doesn't have a face. If it's a person or a group of people, we don't know. And that was the emergence of Bitcoin. And what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is, it's a cryptocurrency, which is a virtual currency. It's designed to form payments that operate independently of, now this is where it is very important. It operates independently of any authority such as governments or banks. People got tired that we cannot keep trusting the banks, and they keep making all this mess, and they still get paid bonuses and bonuses even after losing and crashing the economy. People got tired of that, and people wanted a trustless system, peer-to-peer transfer of value in a digital realm. And it is completely decentralized cryptography. And that is done through what is called, a public transaction ledger called the blockchain. In 2008, thereabouts, one Bitcoin was around 30 cents. So this morning, 15 years later, one Bitcoin is equal to 21,800. Now, what happened to the dollar within 15 years? Whereby when Bitcoin was launched, the dollar was more powerful. Eventually, 15 years later, even the percentage here is, I can't even do the maths of what's happening here. To me, it's a concern, because people are beginning to realize that there has to be a plan B. You cannot see, the laws of economics says a price is determined by two forces, demand and supply. So we can, if something is not finite in nature, then the value is almost nothing. If nothing is backing a currency whereby the government have the ability to just print, then the value of the currency will continue to fall. Have you noticed that year on year, the value of every currency is falling? Maybe it's just me. Even when you're saving, and you have savings, and even you have investments, currently now, even most investments are lagging behind the inflation rates. Some nations' inflation rate is 20, 23, 27, 30, 35, as high as that. So slowly, the new age of money came in. It's decentralized. You don't need a bank. It's instantaneous. I'm here, somebody is in Kuala Lumpur, and they've got something to sell, got something to buy, I send it to them, we transact that. We don't need anybody asking me, where's your money coming from? Who is your money? Where's your money going to? And all of this. No, we don't. And we don't need to trust anybody, because it's a protocol. And then finally, a form of payment that is not controlled by government. Hallelujah. Okay. There seems to be light at the end of the tunnel. That seems like true freedom in sight. But like you see with the emoji there, not so fast. When Bitcoin started, the government were not paying it attention. They didn't think it's nothing serious. What is it? It's just some things that would never happen. It would never catch fire, things like that. Just like when Apple released their first iPhone, and Nokia was the biggest one in town, then they say, what is wrong with that one? Ignore them, Jai. They won't do nothing. Now Nokia belongs not even in the museum. So when Bitcoin happened, it was just like that. It kept going. But we thought finally, this is happening. For the few who actually were aware of it, a lot of us, we realized not so long ago. Some people are still being naive of what is happening, the new age we're in right now. And this happened. You remember previously I mentioned CBDC. CBDC happened. No, not happened. CBDC is happening. You would ask me and think, what is CBDC? Well, CBDC it was a blockchain inspired, and most CBDCs are on blockchain. It's a central bank digital currency. Simple. That is what it is. And the concept was actually first proposed in 2014 by Bank of England. So the government saw that, okay, things are going digital. We need to actually now take advantage and leverage this, because one thing that happened there was blockchain created a decentralized and a way for you to control your asset yourself. Because control is so key, the government could not let that go. So the government had to come up with something, the CBDC. What are the benefits of what they call the CBDC? They tell us the CBDC is more secure, it's cost effective, it's greater financial inclusions, and they say all the blah, the blah, the blah, it's resilient cyber attacks, and they reel out all the benefits that comes with it. When someone tells me the benefits, I always like to ask one question, okay, how much or what is the risk? So when I was reading the benefit, I was like, okay, let's see, what are the risks? And this is where panic begins to set in. The alarm started ringing in my head. Bang, 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 bang. There are privacy issues. That means the central bank will have access to entire transaction history of the digital currency. That means the bank will be, right now, it is not actually the central banks that can see everything we're doing. It's just your local HSBC, sorry, I don't want to mention any bank's name, but local banks that can actually see that. Unless you now sign up to what is called the open banking, whereby all the banks can have access to your data together. They can share information. But with CBDC, it's going to be issued by the central government. So the central governments are going to see everything you do. Now, the difference with the current money we have now is digital, because just ones and zeros. CBDC is digital. The current money we have is electronics. Is electronic money because that, but the CBDC is going to be digital and programmable money. What that means there are laws that can be written into the code, into the program, that can restrict where it is being spent, how much it is being spent, when it is being spent, and who is spending it. That is the ultimate control. So if you go shopping and you pick a few things, it could be programmed to say, accept water, don't accept Coke, because the data says you are obese and you should not be having sugar. So the system will not allow you to pay for the Coke, but allow you to pay for the water. That is the level and the detail this can be programmed to. It could be programmed such that to say, okay, you told us you're living within LS1. Your CBDC will not work anywhere outside LS12 because you're only allowed to spend it within that particular radius. And another risk there is says it's increased centralization. That means everything can be controlled at the central bank level, to the point whereby your savings will have an expiry or can have an expiry period. So if you're saving the money and they said, okay, that savings should last you not more than a year anyway, based on what you're living on. So by the time it goes beyond a year, then the money itself will begin, negative interest to begin to accrue on it, and you begin to lose the money. It's all within the remit of what CBDC can do. So we are living one. It's just like we are jumping hoops. We're living one like this back. Let's see what people say. Come again. Savings having expiry dates. Yes, I can tell you that, Jimmy. It's in several papers in terms of the savings so that you can boost the economy. You know, when there's problem in the economy and they say because people are not spending money, people are holding money in savings accounts. If you know that if you don't spend the money, you're going to lose it anyway, what are you going to do? You're going to spend it. It is within the possibility of the programmable money. Now, some of us are thinking, hey, it cannot happen. This thing only happens in the, it is only people in the West that are doing all this CBDC thing. It's not for African things. So I decided to get us a map of the world. And you can see that the news update is out of 10th, is out of February, 10th of February. That is when? 2 days ago. This map shows you where CBDC has been launched, where it has been piloted, where the proof of concept is being done, and where the research is. Look at the map of the world and tell me if not almost 75% of the world is actually doing this thing right now. I can tell you categorically, the Bank of England came out and it says, yeah, they're, they're piloting this, they're working with this. We know the digital euro is coming, the law is coming into place. We know all of this is happening. Do you even know that Nigeria is one of the first nations to actually pilot CBDC called e-Naira? I have the app on my phone. I registered for it. And I'm telling you, that was like 1 or 2 years ago. I'm not joking. So all of these things you've seen whereby they're changing currency suddenly, they're not printing enough of the new currency, they're restricting the amount of cash you can get, and then everything has to be done electronically when they know the infrastructure is not even there for the banks to actually take the bandwidth of the number of people that will be actually using them at the same time. That's what's causing the problem. All of them is lining up to one thing. I don't know. I was telling someone, I was speaking to my wife today, and I was saying, look, these people are not stupid. Don't ever think any government do not know what they are doing. It's a lie. They are intelligent enough to know exactly what they're doing. The governments have been amazing for all of us. I'm not against any government whatsoever. I respect all authority. I respect authority of the highest order. What I'm saying there is, I am stating the fact. These are statements of fact. These are not fiction. This is not something I pulled, it's not Nollywood or Hollywood. No, this is what is happening. When I looked at this yesterday, I was scared because I was like, no, you gotta be kidding me. This is not what is happening. Let me page down. I want to see if this is going to take me to, okay, now this is where I want to be. Here you go. Look at in 2018, there were only 19 countries that were really involved. 2 years later, there were 39. 2 years later, there is almost 100. I can tell you as of right now, there is about 115 or thereabout nations. You can see the changes in the map. So this is not a matter of, this is what I say, this is not a matter of, oh, is this going to happen? It's not a question of if. It's a matter of when. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to take time. But one thing I want us to see there is, can we connect all the dots of things I've been saying earlier on before now? And things have been happening. They've been happening in different segments. All of these things have been dots all along the line. Are you able to actually connect all the dots? To take a step back and look down 10 years down the line, I can tell by God's grace, everyone on this call, 10 years down the line is just a matter of, 7 years down the line is just a matter of weeks. What do you think would be the state of your money at that point in time? How would you feel working so hard, There was, let me see if I've got this here. Here are some of the questions I've got here. What will happen if your bank, they resist your access to your accounts right now? Even before, just right now. If today, the banks, for some reason, they say that they suspect you something, you are sending money to one person in Nigeria and or something, and they just put a hold. They can do it, it's within the law. What would you do? What would you do? You can't fight them. It's happened before. How many times has the bank locked your account? I can't count the number of times my account's been locked because why? They said, oh, I did a transfer to somebody and they suspected something, and then you go back and forth for like 2-3 weeks before they would unlock your account, your money that you worked for. You got to have mercy. And governments in many nations are already outlawing the purchase of cryptocurrency. It's amazing that in a particular nation, they rolled out CBDC and they make cryptocurrency illegal. Isn't that hypocritical? What will happen when the governments are able to program how much you spend, where you spend it, when you spend it, and on what? And all your years of labor of doing financial freedom, your money is in the account, and they're saying, okay, you can only spend, 10 pounds a day, 10 pounds on a meal, 5 pounds on shopping. Didn't we all see what happened during COVID? Where they were telling you how much things you can buy. You can only buy a crate of egg. You can only buy 4 toilet rolls. It happened before. It can happen again. What do you think of the people with property portfolios and investments in Ukraine? Now they have to abandon their homes and investments and all they have worked for. Have you taken time to consider that? Somebody's been following financial principles, they've worked their life, they've even paid off their home, they've done everything properly, they've invested, and all of a sudden the war happened and they had to abandon that house that is theirs. And they now became refugee in another town. It's not like they can tell somebody that, okay, give me a loan, I got a house I've paid for, or sell the house in the middle of a war zone to somebody so that they can have the money. This is a time where there needs to be a reevaluation of what I call, we need to redefine what financial freedom truly is. See, the fundamentals, we still do them. It is very, very crucial. However, you don't want to end up being shortchanged at the end of the day. And this, my last word there, is something I took from John Obidi. It says there is no conspiracy by any government to prosper its citizens. It's all about control. Because true financial freedom is your ability to make choices and have control over your assets and fund what and where you do with them. Now, all said and done, it's not all gloom and doom. Let's go into the chat before we actually finish for tonight. Let's see what either saying. Okay, yes, experienced it. Egg restriction is happening again. Imagine that. Because the age of money is failing. So what is the way forward? The way forward is the first thing I call agile financial intelligence. And agile intelligence, financial literacy, is different from just financial literacy. It is agile because you continue to evaluate exactly what you're doing per time and responding to situations per time, and don't just stick to a particular strategy that strategy would take you through. It's starting with a strategy, reevaluating the strategy and doing an MVP of that strategy, and then reviewing the strategy. Because one of the things which I don't think a lot of us pay attention to now is what we call the precious metals. Why are banks buying gold? I'm sure if you ask people these days to name asset classes, we coaches will tell people to go into stocks and shares, government bonds, property, real estate. They would tell them to go into stocks market, into equities, basically, all of those things. When trouble comes, they're not going to really do much to you. But we're not really encouraging people to look into areas of precious metals, commodities, to look into things like gold, silvers, and things like that. We don't really put that in because we think it's old school. Old school, yeah, we need to go with the times. But it seems the old schools are tested, are tried and trusted. And then the new school, the new age is the blockchain technology. One thing I can tell you there is the genie is out of the bottle. The government cannot control blockchain anymore. They can seek to counter it with another technology, which is what they're doing right now with CBDCs. And see, let me tell you how CBDCs is going to be done, especially in the West, the easiest way. They will just tell you that pay your taxes using CBDC. That is all. You will get your government, whatever thing government gives you, they'll just say pay it using CBDC, LBT, Lubaton. What will happen? Employers will say, just to make life easier so that we know how we can remunerate and do things like that, we'll be paying you in CBDC. So you need to have a CBDC wallet, LBT. It makes things easy. So in terms of how government to deploy this thing is the easiest. The question is, are we prepared? Inclusive finance community. Which community do you belong to that people are actually talking about cogent and important financial topics as they are hot, people are discussing it? Do you belong to anyone? Reassessment of your strategies. What is your strategy about savings, investments, in terms of ownership? What is your definition of ownership? Redefined asset allocation. How are you allocating your assets? See, I love asset allocation, but you need to make sure you're fine-tuning your asset allocation, making it agile, your approach to it. If you have 10 properties and something happened in the locations where the 10 properties are, what are you going to do? Somebody who has 30 properties in Ukraine now, it is useless unless the ones that are outside the war zone. But the ones that are even within the war zone, you that you're not in the country, are you going to be going to the people to ask them to pay when they don't even have means to pay? This is where we need to redefine our asset allocation. And the last one is a personalized finance coaching. See, finance is called personal finance because it is unique to you. Who is coaching you in terms of how to have your own unique finance strategy and your blueprint? Those are some of the ways we can stay ahead of the game. We can try and understand what is happening and being able to know the seasons and our ability per time. This is very important. Our ability per time to know what to do. We know right now government has been fighting cryptocurrencies like crazy, but they're not fighting Bitcoin because Bitcoin, nobody knows they know Bitcoin, so they cannot even sue Bitcoin. Who are they going to? China tried to shut it down. China shut down all the operations. Bitcoin moved to a different location because what? It is decentralized. How many of us only actually own a Bitcoin at all? I'm not telling you to go and own a Bitcoin. I'm just asking. This is not financial advice. How many of us here actually have a particular percentage of ownership in it? If something was worth 30 cents, 15 years ago, and is now worth 21,000, there seems to be some level of worth it carries. It's not depreciating, it is appreciating. So it's a time for us to review what ownership means to us, how we approach ownership, how we make sure our portfolio is properly diversified. And not only diversification, it is asset classes allocation, because if you're into property and you diversify within the different types of classes within property, you're still within property. So it is proper asset allocation that is essential. So that brings us to the end of tonight. I hope I've been able to shed some light. And there is another organization which I just actually remembered now. It's called BIS, Bank of International Settlements. BIS has made it legal for all central banks to hold at least 2% of their reserves in cryptocurrency from 2025. Look into it, it's a fact. And if you ask me who is BIS, BIS is the Central Bank of Central Banks. So BIS is the body, Banks of International Settlement, that controls all central banks. So all this noise they are making now, don't buy Bitcoin, you go to the banks, in a lie. In 2 years' time, they are allowed to actually be custodians of it. And if you wait till then, and these banks have so much money that if they go into a particular project, they can buy every single thing out completely. And we now go back to where we are, whereby we have to go to them to begin to get some small thing. So before they get their hearts together, before they outsmart us again, let us wake up. Let us be proactive. Let us invest in our personal financial freedom. So thank you very much, everyone. It's been amazing to be here tonight. I hope I've been able to shed some light on the current things going on. And we're going to be back, I think, end of this month. We're going to have another webinar. That's going to be another amazing one. But definitely, this one is just off of the press. It's just one of those ones. It's a one-off to just let us know what is happening so that we can actually re-strategize, think again about it. It gets us thinking, beginning to know the things that are actually happening. I'm going to go into the chat to see if we have any other questions. Ellen, thank you very much. Okay, do we have any questions at all? If there are no questions, I'll wait one more minute. If not, it's been amazing to be here with you tonight. Thank you for your time. I know we're all getting ready to go to the work we've been grumpy about tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Olubumi Dixon. It's good to see you all. So let us all just go to, I know we still have to go to work, though we might not like it, but let us begin to put our houses in order. It's very important. Let us begin to put our houses in order. That is very crucial. Power tribe, but lay up yourself treasures in heaven where neither moth or rust destroy. That one is very key. That one is cocoa. That one, I think, for people right now, it's very important for us to know that we're not going to live forever. There's another home. But like I say tonight, while we're on earth, let us make sure we live on earth properly. And part of living on earth properly is preparing where we're going to spend eternity. Well, that is for a different discussion. So thank you very much for that, Power Tribe. That's awesome. It's good to see you all, everyone. Thank you very much and have a good night. And you can always reach us here for more information. You can, that is our IG handle, the official at Lodme. You can reach me there on Twitter, and that is the email address. If you want any other information, you want to know about our coaching classes, you want a personal coach, you want a personal course, anything related to finance, reach us on those 3 handles there, and we will be able to be of support as much as possible. Also, we have a community. I'm sure Mrs. Kike will drop it there. We have a Twitter community where you can be part of, where we drop nuggets, and also we inform people in the community in terms of the next webinars we have in, and also we go to capture your email. We have that already. We will be in touch with you. So thank you very much, everyone. It's good to see you, and have a good evening. God bless you all. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Well done, Oga. Bye.
Good night.